No, to start recording.
Okay, so you're going to substitute those numbers. So if I have A, B plus C divided by A, I'm going to substitute A for 1, B for 2, so it'll turn into 1 times 2, plus C, which is 0, divided by A, which is 1. So I know 1 times 2 is 2, plus 0 is 2. So that's 2 divided by 1, which means my answer is 2. Where'd it go? Oh, no, it's over.
So remember, just like I have one person asking for help, I can have more people asking for help. You have less than a minute left. Okay, I'm going to finish taking attendance, so you have another second to finish up. Okay, so even if you are not done, you can leave that tab open, but we are going to start with today's lesson. So for those of you maybe joining us for the first time, let's do a quick walkthrough of how to get to our lesson. We go to our Canvas page. Even if you are with us on live, you need to make sure that you are also with us for our lesson, so that not only can you see the Nearpod moving, you can hear me teaching the lesson. Because the Nearpod doesn't work if you can't hear me teaching the lesson. It goes for you guys too. Okay, so we're going to lessons. And I forgot to pop up chat bar. You're clicking yes. We're still on ratios and proportions. That unit lasts for a while, but notice that I keep posting them underneath. So today's Monday, 8:31. So I'm going to lesson 6. And then Monday, lesson 6. You already did this. You should have it up. Finish it before the end of class. We're going to our Nearpod link. Okay, for those of you joining us for the first time, make sure you're putting your name in there, and it's going to ask you for a code, which I will pop up on the screen in a second. We are in week 3 officially, people. live participation. Okay, our code for anyone who needs it. I'm missing one more person. Garnier, tienes que asegurarte de entrar a la lección también. No es nada mal video. We are going to move on. Use equations to solve problems. So, raise your hand if you solved the lesson for Friday. I didn't think so. Not one person saw the video for Friday. Friday, just because there is no in-person class, there's still class online. So you miss online classes on Friday, you're missing a lesson. It's not just get the work done. This is not reading class where you have a review day. That's not how math works. We cannot have a review day or we will get behind. So make sure this week you're watching that lesson on Friday and following along on Nearpod. Let's use equations to solve problems involving proportional relationships. So today's goals. I can relate all parts of an equation like y equals kx to the situation it represents. I can find missing information in a proportional relationship using constant of proportionality. Concert ticket sales. So it says, a performer expects to sell 5,000 tickets for an upcoming concert. So I'm going to go ahead and draw our T-chart for this one, or table. So I generally, when I'm doing the lesson, I'll have the table already out for us. But if the table's not there for you, it's probably easiest, because I feel like I have to say this out loud, it's probably easiest if you just do something like this. If it's drawn out for you, then it's drawn out for you. If it's not, this is just easier. In your notebooks, you have the lines. So it's just easier to fill it in. You don't have to draw a line over the line. So it says a performer expects to sell 5,000 tickets for an upcoming concert. They want to make a total of $311,000 in sales from these tickets. So I have two pieces of information. I still don't know where they go in my table, but I do know that this is my X column and this is my Y column. So I'm going to go ahead and label it on there. Assuming that all the tickets have the same price, what is the price for one ticket? So right here, this is our key phrase. It's telling us we want one ticket. So I know that I want my one to be on the X column, always. So if it says one ticket, that means
tickets are going to be my X column. So when we have things like one or per or each, that's telling us which number goes in our X column. So now I'm going to go back into my directions. It said 5,000 tickets, $311,000. So from here, I can go ahead and solve for how much it costs. And sometimes I just like to do money, the money sign for costs because it's easier. How much does one ticket cost? So because we've already been doing our unit rate, who can remind me what's one way that I can find my unit rate? What do I need to do? I know most of you have been with me. What do I need to do? What do I do with this 5,000 to 1? Divide. Thank you, Randy. So I'm going to divide 5,000 by 5,000 and it gives me 1. So whatever I do on one side, I'm also going to, what am I going to do? Do the same thing on the other side. Thank you. Let's wake up. I know it's Monday. Go ahead and solve. What's 311,000 divided by 5,000? I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. Calculator, notebook, pencil. Let's wake up. Thank you, Randy. Perfect. So we've got. I'm going to wait until some more people get it over here. Who else has an answer for me? 311,000 divided by 5,000. Oh, because first block last week didn't need this furnace. We just picked on random people to answer questions. What do you get? What do you get? Okay, I've got a couple people. 62.2. Keep in mind, this is the one where I work it out. But Ms. Furness is going to work it out on the board, and she's going to expect you to get answers. And before I start picking on people in here to just give me answers and appreciate the people at home that are already putting their answers on the screen, let's wake up. So assuming that all tickets have the same price, what is the price for one ticket? So what's the price for one ticket? Okay, but how do I say that in money? Perfect. So the price for one ticket is $62.20. Keep in mind, when it's asking you for money, make sure you write your answer in money. Question number 2. So, should have already have your table written out. So we said X, Y, we have tickets, we have costs. One ticket is $62.20. 5,000 tickets are $311,000. No cents. So this is all the same directions. It says, how much will they make if they sell 7,000 tickets? So 7,000 tickets goes in the X column or in the Y column? X column. So I'm going to go ahead and
put it here. How am I going to solve for how much money? Remember, we worked on this last week. If I have a unit rate that is 62.2, well, I have to use my unit rate to solve down my table. What am I doing? Not divide. Yes, Junior, we are multiplying. We are going to multiply from left to right. We multiply. So we take 7,000 times our unit rate to solve for how much money is in our Y column. Go ahead. Can you type it in here? Nice job, Lisa. Nice job, Junior. If you're having trouble seeing the screen, log off Nearpod and log back in. Or log off Teams and log back in. Okay, so Yair, how much money is 7,000 tickets? You've had plenty of time. Were you waiting for me to give the answer? $435,000. Can someone say it a little louder? I can't hear you at all. These things are impeding me. 400. Thank you. So 435,400. Good job. So this is exactly what we've been doing all of last week. We're figuring out our unit rate table. Let's go ahead and look at our next slide. Okay, how much will they make if they sell 10,000 tickets, 50,000 tickets? So I want you to just solve for 50,000 and 10,000 in your table. And if you did not write your table down, probably a good opportunity to write that down on your sheet of paper. That's why we have notebooks, so that we can write our notes down, so it can help you. We're going to have to put in a help certificate. I think you're the one.
Where does she upgrade her computer?
I wouldn't know it, but they will walk us through an update and see if it helps. You're looking for how much it costs to
buy 10,000 tickets, and how much does it cost to get 50,000 tickets? And I know you can't write it on your screen, so that's not a big deal. Write it on your paper. Nice job, Junior. And Lisa, very good. Okay, so for those of us that are forgetting, your unit rate is any number to 1. So we solve for our unit rate first, 62.2. And if you're forgetting, write these things down. You're not going to remember them if you don't write them down, and practice them. Unit rate is any number to 1. So we solve for that first. Our tricks to help us work out our table from left to right, we're doing what? Are we multiplying or dividing? Multiplying. From right to left, we're doing what? Dividing. So you ask, what are we dividing? What are we multiplying? You're multiplying or dividing by the number in your table and your unit rate. So if we're on the left column, you're doing 10,000 times 62.2. We should have this down by now if we were following along. Randy, if you're in your Nearpod on slide 9, it tells you what you need to do. So even if you can't see my screen, you should be able to see your Nearpod. And you write it down on a piece of paper. Nobody's writing it on the screen right now. Okay, so 10,000 is how much money? Louder. I hear mumbling. 600 what? 622,000. That's it, right? And then 50,000 tickets is how much money? Good. 3,110,000. So we got to get in practice. The less you're watching your lessons live, the further behind you're going to fall. So for those of you who are having a hard time today and you haven't been watching the lessons, you need to make sure you're doing that. Or you're going to be even more lost if you come back next Monday and you haven't watched this week's lessons. Okay, so continuing on in your table. And I'm not going to draw out the whole thing again. I'm just going to put basics. Okay, so we had 1, and what was our unit rate? What was it? 62.2. 62.2. So now it's asking if they make $379,420, how many tickets have they sold? So we said from left to right, we did what? We multiplied. So from right to left, we did what? Divide. So that means because I have my information on the right side, I'm going to do 379,420 divided by my unit rate. Okay, so who's got the answer? You've got the answer. What? How many tickets? 16. 16? So Jesus says 6,100 tickets cost $379,420. Remember, you're going from money to tickets, so we're dividing, we're not multiplying. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at our next slide. Hold on. I know it moved. The what? Okay, so I know that we just did this one. We're going to hold off on the next two slides, and I want us to write our equation. So we said our unit rate was what? Yes, thank you. Our unit rate is 62.2. We want to use this to fill in our equation. Who can remember what our equation template is? It said it at the beginning of the notes. We've been talking about it since last week. What's our equation template? Whether you're here or at home and you remember what it is. Okay, if you can't remember, you need to write this down. Somewhere you're going to come back to it, see it. Our equation, what I call a template, because we're going to use it and we're going to fill it in. So y equals kx, or y equals rx. So we use both. It's the same thing. You're going to need to know this. Write it somewhere. Remember, our K and our R both represent unit rate. You're also going to need to remember that. So if you don't already have it written down, write it down now. Okay, so now that we have this written down, we're going to use it to fill it in with our unit rate. So if I were to ask you, what is the equation of this problem? What do I need to do? All I'm going to do is I'm going to take this equation, I'm going to take out that R, and I'm going to replace it with my unit rate. So it turns into y equals 62.2x. So this is my equation for that table. Nice job, Junior. Do we have this written down? Do we need another second? So again, make sure you're keeping up with our lessons. I have a running tally of who's been here, and a lot of you have not. And most of you may know that I spent my weekend texting your parents. Because I did. Okay, practice activity. It's your turn. So it says aluminum cans can be recycled instead of being thrown in the garbage can. The weight of 10 aluminum cans is 0.16. The aluminum in 10 cans that are recyclable has a value of 0.14. So this table is going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to help you set it up. So I'm going to set up our table, and for this one, and you're not going to see this a lot, this one has 3 columns. So we have aluminum, sorry, not aluminum, cans is what I meant to write. Cans. We have aluminum, and we have cost or money. So again, you're not going to see this often, but this one is a 3-column table. So, I just would say 1. I was like, wait a second, why does that say, this is so weird. Okay, so I'm going to leave this first row blank. I know that 10 cans weighs 0.16 kilograms, and it costs $14. So what would the recyclable value of 1 can be? So I want to find the cost. So I'm even going to highlight it for you. I want to find the cost. So you're going to find that unit rate. How much money is 1 can worth? Make sure you're writing this on your screen. It's not just in your notebook. This one's on you. So you should be working this out on your screen. I see 2 people, maybe 3 people that started out.
This is the number you want to find, right? Yeah, that's a different problem. This is brand new. Right? Okay, let me show you. Let me see if that's it. Down here, right? Up to here. And divided by itself, right? And divided by 10 equals 1, right? So if that's true, this has to look exactly the same. So this number is divided by percent set, and what number are we divided by? Right? So I do the exact same thing. 10 divided by 10 is 1. 0.14 divided by 10 equals 1. You put that in your calculator, exactly like this. Put it there, and you can put it there. That's how I can find it.
I'll check now in a second, Randy, okay? I haven't looked.
Those of you at home, I should be seeing your work on the screen. Blank answers is not what I'm looking for. Randy, you're really, really close. Okay. Let's go ahead and look up here. So let's treat this as if it was a 2-column table. We're going to pretend this isn't here. If this wasn't here, if the column in the middle wasn't there, we would do the same thing as if it was 2 columns. So let's say the first method that we talked about doesn't work for you. Okay. Another way to find our unit rate, if this is x and this is y, is doing y divided by x. It's the same thing we would do if we were going up and down in our table. So if I was going to take y divided by x, I'm taking 0.14 divided by 10. I had one person get me the answer. And then I had one person that was close. So if I do 0.14 divided by 10, what does that give me? And not Jesus, because Jesus has the answer. I want somebody else. Good, Randy. What do you have? Good. Perfect. We have 0.014. Nice job, William. So when you have problems like this, you have to pretend like the middle's not there, because right now the middle's not important. You have to make sure you're keeping track of how to solve. If one method doesn't work, you use a different one. I told you guys last week, you use what works for you. If one method's not working, use a second method. We're going to stop our lesson right there. Those of you who have not been joining our lessons, tell me, did we feel good today not knowing what was going on? Think about that to yourself. Did you feel good not knowing what was going on? Make sure you're on live with us tomorrow. Notice how you don't have to speak. I have a few people who give answers, who ask questions. Make sure you're there, because if you're confused, you can ask a question. So you're not lost next week. And keep in mind, next Monday, there's no school. So if you're not logging into live, how many weeks will you have lost by the time you get back? 2 weeks. It's not going to feel good. Make sure you're on live. If your computer's having trouble because you don't have internet, email me. I will put in for a hotspot. If your computer's having trouble, put in a help desk ticket. If you need a notebook, look, I gave Jesus a notebook because he didn't have a notebook. Let us know. I'm not psychic. I can't guess if you need help with something. You have to tell me. I'm not going to call you out. I'm not going to say, guess what? Jesus emailed me last night, guys, because he said that he didn't have internet. No, I'm not going to do that. And he didn't. I was just using him as an example. But I'm not going to do that. Any conversation you have with me on the computer, or even if we meet on the computer live, stays between you and me. And that's it. I'm not going to let the world know what you told me. Please make sure that you're